For the younger agents, I would have to say that disconnect that person from the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
This career can be a roller coaster ride, physically, mentally, all of the above. But I think once you disconnect and you take that relationship, you're helping that person either sell or buy a home. That's a service.
Hey everybody, it's Kathy Byrnes here with Real Estate Riches, and today my guest is Tammy DeWolfe, and I'm really excited to have her on here, obviously because she's got lots to share, and I love her mindset, and you're going to love it too. Hey girl.
Hey, Kathy, I'm so thankful that you have me on your podcast. Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm excited. I love having people on like you who are focused on mindset, empowered, successful, and yet sharing the wealth, which is great. And that's what these podcasts are all about.
I love these kind of podcasts because I love just being open and
Mhm,
transparent about everything, right?
mhm.
Because we can all improve. And if I can give you one little nugget, that's awesome.
Yes, yes. Well, give us a little background, girl.
So I'm originally from Iowa on a farm, grew up
Mhm.
on a farm. I was in retail for years after I left the farm and then got into real estate. So when I got sick of retail, I went into real estate. Didn't know exactly what I was up to and what I was doing, but here I am, 20 some years later.
Wow, 20 some years later. And you've got a TV show that you're a part of.
Yeah.
You believe in empowerment, you believe in mindset, all the things that I absolutely love. But let's touch on that TV show. So how did, first of all, you got into it? Because I've interviewed other agents that have had it, but some of them just kind of let it go. And I feel like you're more entrenched in it. Give us a little more details.
So when I started American Dream TV, probably about a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
um, and when I was doing that, I was filming every month and a half. Um, and what they do is they put a half-hour show together. So they put a half-hour show together for every state. So
Mm.
typically they'll have 5 agents and you'll get one 5 to 6 minute segment,
Oh,
and then they compile it together to make that 30-minute show. They came to me a couple different times to say, hey, you're pretty good. And would you like to have your own show? The first time I was like, yeah, I don't think I could do this. This is too much. And then the second time came around and I was like, yeah, let's do this. So one of the first people that I ever interviewed for American Dream TV, um, they had purchased a villa right around the same time I'd interviewed them when I was working for American Dream TV. So a villa in Italy, here we go. And my first segment of DeWolf Living was pretty much all in Italy at this villa, traveling around to various little towns, picking olives, making olive oil, going on a truffle hunt. It was absolutely amazing. And now I have my second episode just coming out. We're going to be having a watch party next Thursday. And that's kind of Boston to the burbs kind of situation. But really cool stories and it's pretty good. I really like this one. It's very diverse.
so tell me, how did you do a villa in Italy? How did that happen? Because where are you
So,
licensed, and how did you even make that happen?
so maybe I should have been licensed. I don't know, but I brought the videographer with me and the owner of the villa, Dominic and Monica Esposito, invited me over, my husband over, and said they had room for the videographer. So here we go. And we stayed in their villa. They rent out this villa to, people that want to go on vacation.
Ooh,
It's in Tuscany. It's 2 hours away from Rome and about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour away from Florence. And yeah, they
wow.
have an
So
olive grove on their villa estate. They just planted a vineyard. So we got to pick olives and then make olive oil. And that all happens in like a day. You pick olives, the next day you take them to the mill and they press it.
yeah,
It's pretty quick. It's
it's
not
pretty
like
cool.
wine. It takes months.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so this wasn't a villa that you sold them.
No, no, no. But a Sotheby's agent did sell it to them in Italy.
Okay.
But So Dominic is originally from Italy, and him and Monica were looking for villas, and they had seen several of them, and they found this one, and yeah.
Wow, I love
So
it. Well, that's the part I thought about was the licensing. Like, how did you sell in
no,
Italy? But
I
you
would
can
have
have
loved to do that,
yeah.
but no, actually, and one of the biggest things about doing this TV show is, highlighting that villa, right? They rent it out for vacationers, two vacationers, I should say, and in American Dream TV, I was also highlighting businesses and business owners, unique experiences. And I know of one person that saw my show, DeWolfe Living, and has already booked a week with that villa. So it's Villa Monarca. So that's pretty cool. And I've gotten some other calls where, other people that I've highlighted on my show, either in American Dream TV or on DeWolfe Living, they're getting business. And that's pretty awesome. That's such a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, it's not just a good feeling that makes you important in their world. If they got business from you, they're going to think of you when they've got business to refer,
Yes.
right? That's
That's,
just,
that's the whole point.
yeah, giver's gain. I love it. So when
Yeah.
you did, so you're doing that versus the American Dream where you just got the 5 minute slot,
So,
right?
yeah. So I have 5 segments of my own picking, right? Whatever
Mhm.
topic I want to do. Um, and we compile it together to make a 30-minute show. So it
Mhm.
airs locally on regular TV here in Boston. And the bigger legs or the longer legs, let's say, is on the streaming platforms like Roku and HDTV and Netflix. So it's pretty cool.
Wow, this is exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So, uh, those are articles that you need to be writing on your LinkedIn, girl, talking
Yes.
about that.
Thank you for those tips.
Yes, because that just levels up who you are. In we're all just real estates basically, but what makes us unique? What's our specialty? Why would someone want to do business with me? I would just want to do business with you because you're cool and you do all these cool things. And as a high eye on the disc profile, I'm like, well, let's go hang out with Tammy.
Yeah. It's funny because I have loved to travel my whole entire life. And, when we were leaving the villa in Italy, getting ready to come back home, I got a little teary eyed. And my husband's like, why are you getting teary eyed? Because we're leaving Italy? And I'm like, no, that's not the point. The point is, my father told me years ago to start making travel videos, and I had no idea on how to do it or what to do. And, um, it got to me, right? I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm finally doing what my dad, suggested that I did years ago."
Yeah,
And
it
it was
came
a
natural.
really cool moment. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that story. So when you did just the American Dream TV, do you have to pay for that, or do they pay you? What happens there?
You can
How does
either
that?
pay for it you can either pay for it, or you can get sponsors to pay for it. So, if you have good relationships with mortgage brokers, attorneys, and they advertise on those shows also,
Mm,
which is pretty cool. So, yeah, you
okay,
can
good. And
and if
then
they wanted to, even if you had a vendor that didn't wanna pay for the show or didn't wanna pay a portion of the show, and they wanted to pay for a watch party, they can contribute to that. That is totally legal for them to do that because it's a tax write-off. They're not paying you, they're not paying
right.
me directly, they're paying a third party. So, it goes to American Dream TV, which, you end up interviewing them or they sponsor it and they get an advertisement at the end.
Mm. What's
Yeah.
a watch party?
So watch party is where so I'm going to be having a watch party next Thursday. So what I do is I send out an invite to everybody that I've interviewed and to my sphere of influence, and they get an opportunity to invite some people from their sphere of influence, and we air the whole 30-minute show.
Mm.
I usually have appetizers and get a couple drinks,
Oh, it's
alcoholic or
live.
non-alcoholic, and it's like it's I don't show it live. I show the version that I have without commercials and whatnot.
Uh huh.
So, yeah, we get to watch the full show. It's a 30-minute show, so it's pretty cool.
But they gather in a location rather than
Yeah,
online. Oh, so
yeah,
it's fun. It's fun.
yeah. So
Oh,
instead of doing like client appreciation parties, I've gotten away from that. Now I do these watch parties and I invite everybody. So if you bought a house from me or you didn't buy a house from me, I don't really care. I just want you to come together because that's just making connections, right? It's
Yes.
networking in a different way. And the eyes are not on, oh my gosh, Tammy sold me this house or, oh, I need to buy a house from Tammy. Like it's none of that.
Yeah.
It is just networking,
It's
getting to
networking.
know some people that you didn't know. And I'm like usually the center of who they know and how they got there.
Yeah.
But it's connecting people.
Yes.
And
Well,
I mean,
that's
just
it.
from my last two watch parties, I had a friend of mine, you know, I have a girlfriend who has not a staging, framing
Mhm.
uh, shop nearby, and he needed some artwork framed. And he called me up. He's like, "Hey, what was the woman's name that owns that framing shop, and where is it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you just go down there and tell Julie you know me, and she'll take care of you." And it's
Yeah.
connections.
Yes. I used to do for years and years and years. I've stopped lately just because I'm stepping more out of production and doing
Yeah.
outgoing referrals. And but I had a card that I did through Send Out Cards, which is a network
Yeah.
marketing company. But man, the card that would go out, you could make it however you wanted it. And the cover of mine was I got a guy and a gal too. And I would send it once a month. And on the inside left cover, I would feature whoever that person was I wanted to feature. And on the right hand side, I'd say, this is my monthly card that I send to all my favorite people, um, featuring someone that I know and trust. And here's why I love Joe or whatever. And I'm not paid for this. This is out of, serving my clients. And if you know anybody that needs somebody like this, please share it along. And if you need something and you haven't seen me send it out, just reach out, because if I don't have a guy, I know a guy's got a guy. And
It's
just
exactly the same thing,
it
right?
is. It is
Yeah,
same
we're just
thing.
doing it in person. That's all.
Yes. And
I
I
think it's fun.
I did that every single month for 13, 14 years. And
That's
the
awesome.
business that had got me, someone called every single month, Kath, I need a roofer. Kath, I need this. Kath, I need that. I wanted to be top of mind. And that's what you're doing too.
Yeah.
You are top
Yeah.
of mind. And you're a safety. They trust you. They believe what you've got. So it's a powerful way to be a connector.
Yeah. I think so. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just a really cool experience and to highlight businesses and they get some business out of it. And it's
Mhm.
just full circle, really.
Is, which is
Yeah.
what really makes it all feel good. So you're in Boston, and
Yes.
do you do outgoing referrals like out to Italy and stuff like that because of your connections?
I've had a couple international referrals, one to Portugal and one to
Mm.
Greece. But yeah, I mean, I work for Sotheby's International, right? So Gibson Sotheby's International, we're international.
Yeah.
So we have connections throughout the world. Um, and I connect with a lot of international people on social media sites
Mhm.
also. So there's always that opportunity to connect with somebody I have a real connection with,
Right.
right?
Yes.
I think that's super important. I mean, I'm not in the center of Boston. I'm out in the burbs, but you know, people know people everywhere and people are from all over the world, right? So they have connections or they have land someplace or they're looking to get a citizenship someplace. So they have to either buy or rent something in those countries.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the world's getting smaller and smaller, and
It
people,
is.
technology is expanding everything. And um, as you know, I'm with EXP. We are in 28 countries, and my mission is to be in all of them, to be able to send business to all of them and grow my organization. And I just think it's important also to have good people that you're connected with, because every country is different with a lot of
Mhm.
different rules. And so knowing that you've got someone that's quality to work with is a really big deal too.
It's a huge deal, and especially when you're dealing with international buyers, right? So that's a whole nother level because
Right.
like Portugal, it's an easier country to get a citizenship in. Um, but you have to rent for X amount of years. You've got to put X amount of money into a bank account there. Like there's just nuances that I wouldn't necessarily know, but those agents in that country that are in an area that's popular for people to transfer to, that's important to know. They need
Oh,
to know
yeah.
like those dynamics, right?
And who their
So
crew is. Yeah.
it's really key.
Yeah. Portugal's a big one for me. I have 14 agents in my organization that are in Portugal, and that's been a country that I scoot over to and work with over there because I just love it. And I didn't realize in the beginning you didn't have to have a license in Portugal. You could be the lawn cutter one day, and now you're selling real estate. And there isn't necessarily training in a lot of these other companies. You know, franchises, you got a better shot, right?
Yeah.
But so knowing, and I didn't know what I didn't know, like all the contracts are in Portuguese and you have to have a translator that's not your person, that's somebody else's person who can ethically read the contract for them in English if they're English speaking and not Portuguese. A lot of little nuances that you wouldn't even think of, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes I mean, yes, we do have to have a license here, but sometimes I do think the same situation happens here.
Yes. I know what you're saying. Oh, yeah, it's a little scary. So are you
Yeah.
primarily in the luxury market?
Um, I would say yes, but I take all price ranges, right? So I think that, you know, luxury can, it's not just about the price point, it's about the
Mm,
experience, right? So,
yeah.
I started my business 20 some years ago, and, my average dollar sale now is probably in the 1.4, 1.5 range.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, like, I'm not opposed to like getting a $500,000 house.
Sure.
Um, because they sell quick, right? Some of those
Yeah.
higher end houses, they take a little time sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, luxury, yeah, it could be the price point, but in my mind, it's really, it's about the experience. You want everybody to have that luxury experience, which means attention to detail. They want
Yep.
to have priority to you. They want to have accessibility to you. They want to, have your knowledge and know and feel confident about their decisions either to sell or to buy.
Right. Really. I agree. I really believe in great communication with your client, nonstop communication.
It
I
is
want to answer
key.
all the questions. And I want to listen a lot in the beginning to find out exactly what the goal is, what's the mission, what are we trying to achieve here? And I'm hopefully closing on the 20th on a 2.3 that's a waterfront that they bought as for an Airbnb. Well, this was
Wow.
a really complicated one because they wanted all the furniture. And it was it's a 5,000 square foot house with furniture in every nook and cranny. And it was like, instead of listing all the furniture on a bill of sale, we had to list all the things that were excluded that the sellers were going to take, which was so much easier. And
Usually that list is much smaller and that's much, much easier to deal with.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
It was still 7 pages of stuff and it was incredible. But still they got a ton. They had an elevator in there, so you had to do an elevator inspection. And it had fallen apart on with the previous buyer. And they allowed us to see the inspection report that they had done on the house. And interestingly enough, those buyers only did a home inspection, only cursory in my mind. And so we saw the
Yeah.
summary and I said to my buyers, I said, listen, I'm a maniac for inspections for a benchmark. I said, you can waive every one you want and I'll tell you a horror story for everyone. And you still get to decide, but you're going to sign a waiver for me. And they did the pool, they did the well, they did the water, they did
Yeah.
the septic, they did, the roof. I'm a big fan of roof inspections. And even though your home inspector does the roof, it's not a true roof inspection. Either is the HVAC, a true HVAC. And I like all the inspections. I said, now it's your money and I'm spending it freely, but
Yeah, but you
smart.
know, with properties like that, there are some very complicated properties. Like, some of them are pretty simple, but when you get into the higher end, there's a lot more mechanical things typically in those houses. And it's smart to have a home inspection, right? It's smart to do your due diligence. Um, some people they kind of waver things and they're like, "Oh, I don't really need to do that." But at the end of the day, I mean, the only reason that we weren't having home inspections, during COVID is because the other buyers
Yeah.
out there were not, they were waiving it, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, I think it's a big deal for buyers to understand what they're buying. I
Yes.
mean, you get to do that with a car, you get to do that with everything else. Why not?
Right.
This is your biggest purchase typically in a lot of people's lives to, buy a house.
Well,
And
especially since it was gonna be an Airbnb where it's gonna get a lot more
yeah,
use. It had an
abuse.
elevator. Yeah,
Yeah.
abuse. It had an elevator, and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, the kids are gonna go nuts on that thing. Can you turn that off so they can't use it when they're in there unless they need it?" And,
Yeah.
so we had all those inspections, and I know that they were glad that they did, and really the house passed just about everything, just minor stuff that the sellers have already agreed that they're gonna do, which is great. So, I'll be very excited about the closing on that sale.
Well, I wish you the best of luck on that. I hope it goes through.
Thank you. I know these days, yikes. So any
Mhm.
other tips that you feel like, our realtors out there who are hungry to learn could benefit from your expertise?
Well, I think, talking about mindset, we talked about it briefly before we hopped on, but, like mindset's a big deal in this industry, right? So, when you start out, you may not know, maybe you didn't have a family member in real estate. I did not. I grew up on a farm, right? So, like, early on, I feel like people really chase the dollar, right? Because this is their first time and this might be their only job, right? They might not
Right.
have another part-time job, so they're jumping in this with 2 feet and hoping and wishing and all those good things. But, for the younger agents, I would have to say that disconnect that person from the transaction.
Mhm.
This career can be a roller coaster ride, physically, mentally, all of above. But I think once you disconnect and you take that relationship, you're helping that person either sell or buy a home, it's a service.
Mhm.
If you can just keep it on that level and not connect that person with the transaction or dollar figure, let's say, I think it's a game changer, right? And don't sweat the small stuff, right? There's so many personalities and situations and nitpicky stuff that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You just keep true to yourself and true to your clients.
Mm.
So if you're educating your seller, great. You're going to be educating the buyer when you have a buyer client also. But mindset, just staying positive and in the moment. And when people act out towards you, and that could be stress from selling the property or the stress of buying a property, it's not all about you.
Mhm.
It's most likely their stress that something else has happened in their life. And you really have to take that with a grain of salt. So don't take it personal.
Agreed.
No one ever told me those things when I first started because I had the roller coaster ride of my life. And my husband will verify that. But you really got to take a step back, right? In mindset, you know, you got to really take care of yourself first. Otherwise, you can't take care of anybody else. And that means physically and mentally, you're not going to be able to do this job if you don't keep yourself sane and you work out your own problems, physically, right? So you got to keep good shape.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love that, Tammy. That was some great stuff. I think we've all learned a lot of things on here, and I'm grateful to have you on.
Well, I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, that's a wrap for Real Estate Riches today. And if you liked it, please subscribe below. I'm trying to get to 1,000 people. Help me. and and share it with other people if you will. And listen in on some of the other recordings because this is all for realtors, and I hope that you'll benefit from it and spread the word. Thanks again. All right, so that's a wrap. Stop recording there. Okay, good. See, it's easy.